Hello everyone, I'm Monica the Creative Beast. Welcome to my channel. I have been making flip-through videos of many art books I've made for the Are You Book Enough Art Challenge, which is hosted by Sarah Moe, and you can find her on Instagram under Ink and All or Editions Studio, and I will have links for both of those so you can learn more about this monthly book art challenge and join the fun because it's really pretty fun. So I wanted to share one of my most recent books made for this March. This was made for February and the theme was family. And I thought I would try my hand at a different book form that I had not tried before, so that was some fun learning. And it's a really cool three-dimensional style form book. And I just want to show you real quick what happens when it's all folded up. Okay, and you can see it's a little wider where I've stitched things and not so wide here. And I'll share some more of these details in just a minute. So it's going to be a little bit tricky sharing this book, so please bear with me. I'm going to be moving the camera up and down a little bit as I share more details about this book. But let's see if we can focus right on in on that. All right, so this is the book for February 2019, Are You Book Enough Challenge. The theme was family. And I decided to look at the generations of sewing in my own family. And I was really happy that I remembered I had some rubber stamps, so I could put some rubber stamps on the cover here. So, spool of thread. Looks like zigzag stitching. This thread was actually used to bind parts of the book together, and it was a vintage spool of thread that belonged to my grandmother. When we went to clean out her craft room, I got to bring home a lot of her vintage supplies, which made me very happy. So this is seam tape or hem tape. Seamstresses know what kind of tape this is. I did a very light tea dye on it to match this paper. I thought about using muslin for the cover, but I was afraid of ink bleeding through the fabric, and I was happy that I was also able to find a paper that could approximate the look of muslin fabric, which is a basic cotton fabric that is used in drafting patterns or draping designs in fashion design. So I used lots of the hem tape to wrap around the book to keep it closed, because you can see it really wants to bounce open. And like an accordion, it will go all crazy haywire if it's not kept shut. So, seam tape, very similar to my book Darkness, which you can find here on my YouTube channel. All right, so let me see if I can do a little adjusting here. And let's see, using a bit of a prop to hoist the camera. I'm gonna lift the camera up a teeny bit more. That was on my computer. So let's open up the book. So you see the way this is structured, it really wants to bounce around. So I can't just leave it open unless I open it in its full entirety. This is called a star book. It's also known as a carousel book, because you will see in just a moment as I play with the camera how it makes a star shape when it's fully opened. Okay, and I did not glue my hem tape ribbons in properly, otherwise I would be able to hoist it up so you can see it hanging like a star. So that was a little boo-boo on my part, but it wraps around, it closes, it's fine. There are 3 layers of depth to the book. So let's see if I can open this up enough for you to see that. Okay. The back layer is the widest, there's the middle layer, and there's the front layer. and they get stitched in to keep them secure. Okay. So let's see if we can go through this little book here. All right, a little more crazy camera angling if we can. Thank you for your patience and understanding. So it's a 3-layered book, and sometimes when people work with the star carousel form, it might be like anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 layers. You could use 2 for the 3-dimensional aspects. But you can see here, let's see if we can tip this a little bit. Those are the layers. Okay, the back layer is my colophon, Are You Book Enough, February 2019, theme of family. I call this book, Common Thread, A Family of Seamstresses in 4 Generations. So I have this black zigzag rubber stamping running through, and it ties in with the threads that bind each layer of book together. This paper is pattern paper. It's manila pattern paper that is used to make patterns when studying fashion design and pattern drafting. And my grandmother had many rolls of it in her craft studio, and I brought it home so I could use it for my own pattern drafting. And I love that all the supplies that have gone into making this book are related to sewing, seamstressing, pattern drafting in some way, shape, or form. So, and again, also generational. These are materials, many of which belong to my grandmother. Another aspect of this book is I was working with a card deck known as the Tarot of the Tailor. And it was gifted to me by a friend who knew of my sewing and also knew my love of Victoriana. So I made a few copies of a couple of the cards to use as representations for my family members. So this card is known as the Fabulous Scissors. Let's see if we can get a better view of that. The Fabulous Scissors from my great-grandmother, Crescencia Luevano Villalobos. The family story that I had heard was that she could just look at you, didn't need to take measurements, didn't need to use a pattern. She would just cut and sew up a garment and it would fit you perfectly. I don't know how true that is, but I felt that the Fabulous Scissors would be a good representation for my great-grandmother. Okay. And these are all women on my mother's side of the family, for the most part. My great-grandmother was my grandfather's mother. This is my grandmother on my mother's side, her mother. She was a home sewer. She made nearly all of her clothes. She was a huge crafter, so I got to bring home lots and lots of supplies and materials as we cleaned out her craft room. She was a quilter, which really appealed to her OCD sensibilities. I learned sewing from her. It wasn't easy. It was difficult. She was critical. She didn't have a lot of patience for the beginner sewer. So I represented her as the impossible pattern. My mother was also a sewer, mostly a home sewer. I remember a few mother-daughter outfits. She just likes making real simple, easy things. She didn't have any desire to learn pattern drafting the way my grandmother did. She didn't have a desire to be a seamstress in any big way. She just made some simple things once the mommy-daughter outfit craze was over. So I like to refer to her as the missing button. It's like the real love of sewing and patterns and fashion. Well, not necessarily fashion, because she has a great sense of color, but the excitement for sewing just seemed to skip her. And then there's me. I learned to sew by hand when I was 6. My grandmother taught me how to sew on a sewing machine. I've always loved fashion. I really love style because style is a very personal way of expressing yourself through clothing. I'm a big hat and handbag fan. I took sewing a big, huge leap forward by being a professional paid seamstress and costumer in Los Angeles. I represent myself with the stylish chapeau. So that is my book. Star Carousel book form. Common thread for the month of February in 2019. Okay. So, yeah. It was really a lot of fun trying to figure out how to make this star fold happen. It's really pretty cool, three-dimensional book. Okay, let me see if I can get that a little more open. There we go. So yeah, so you can see how it really creates the star form. The three-dimensional aspects of it are really pretty fun. I was not the only one to work in this book form for the theme of family during the month of February. If you search the hashtag #AreYouBookEnough_family, you will find some really amazing books. There were maybe 2 other people who worked in this star carousel form. I really look forward to working in it again for some other things. I do love pop-ups and three-dimensional aspects in books. Yeah, so I will be working in the star carousel form again soon, one way or another. So thank you for sitting through this flip through. Thank you for your patience as I try to figure out working with the camera to get all the fantastic angles of this book. Yay! And there are more books coming because there's a theme every month. And I also will be sharing other books that I've made, not just for Are You Book Enough Challenge, but some of my own art books, some of my art journals. And I'm also going to begin some creative chats where I will be talking about a few things about creativity, about art, about artists, misconceptions, myths, language that's being used that I think is really detrimental. So yeah, those are some things to look forward to here. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll see you next time.